And speaking of attacking teachers, I teased this last week. I want to read it. I don't have much to say beyond this. And in the coming weeks, now that we're out of sort of the crisis mode with with the Republicans holding our government hostage, we can move on to other topics, not the least of which is the ongoing assault on our schools by the corporate reform movement, which shows itself in many different ways, and not the least of which is this high-stakes testing regime. We have spoken many times of the implications of the high-stakes testing. It is an all-out assault on allowing educators doing what they know how to do best, which is to educate children. It is, and it's an all-out assault on our children in many respects. Not only does it pervert their education, because when you tie in the assessment of where students are in their learning, when you make that an absolute measure of the quality of teachers, and you encourage schools to become nothing more than little mills teaching to the test because it's the only way these schools can survive, it begins to impact the students in ways that I think people do not contemplate. There was a post by Allie Gordon. I'm not sure what the what blog it came from. She was a parent. She wrote a letter to the Board of Regents and her state representative in New York. I'm not going to read the entire letter, but I'll read parts of it. She says how this fight against high-stakes teaching became very personal. She writes, "My 10-year-old daughter asked me what it would take for me to let her stay home from school forever. Isabella is very well-spoken, very bright. She describes herself as a feminist and loves to debate adults about the inequality of women's pay for equal work. She's committed to calling out bullies in school and helping those she sees that need a little boost. She can carry on conversations about interesting points and people in American history most kids have never heard of. However, Bella doesn't learn some things as quickly as other kids do. She struggles with reading at grade level and has difficulty memorizing math facts. Math word problems are confusing for her and takes her longer than her peers. She has to work really hard to be successful academically, and she does work very hard. But tonight, Isabella decided that she has had enough. School is too hard now, she said. I'm too stupid to do this math. I can assure you we don't use the word stupid in our home to describe anything, especially not people. But in the 1-hour conversation we had in which she was begging me to let her quit school, Isabella used that word stupid to describe how she felt about herself more than 10 times. The mother writes, because when a child is broken in spirit, when they have lost their self-worth and confidence, that damage is not erased easily. When children hate school to the point that they attempt to avoid it at all costs, there will be no desire to be college or career ready. Now, before you say, I just want my child to succeed no matter what, and must be one of those everyone gets a trophy for participating parents, let me say this. I want my child to be challenged. I want them to have to work to be successful. I want them to sweat it out occasionally and have to ask questions to clarify. I want their curiosity to lead them down paths I never imagined. But when they have no confidence, they will not try. They will not raise their hand to ask a question. They will fear homework, quizzes, and exams. And the voice they hear in their heads telling them they can't will create a self-fulfilling prophecy, so they won't succeed. If these insane policies pushing developmentally inappropriate curriculum on our children are allowed to stay in place, what will the future hold for those students who do not fit this one-size-fits-all approach? And she's talking here about the core curriculum the Common Core curriculum, which is in and of itself problematic because it's the Common Core curriculum. And it is forcing teachers to put in many cases, I mean, we talked about the story last week about kindergartners being forced to take standardized tests when many of them don't even know the basic skills on how to use a pencil. And there are some kids, obviously, who have progressed further and other kids who have not. And that's why you want a teacher in the room to determine what is appropriate for the class. But if they are forced to teach a one-size-fits-all test because they are getting pressure from their administrators, because their administrators are getting pressure from their school boards, because this is the only way to keep schools open, this is what you get. You get many children left behind. What will happen when the precious data doesn't show the growth of these education reformers want to see because so many kids just give up? How many kids have to be hurt before we stop? How many kids have to use that word to describe themselves before we realize the damage that is being done? She continues writing, tomorrow morning I will bring Isabella to school. I will tell her that I know this is hard, but she has to just try her best. I will tell her I know how smart she is, and so does her teachers. I will kiss her head and I will whisper, I love you, with a smile. After she walks down the long school hallway, I will use every ounce of passion and compassion I have to call on my elected representatives to stop the abuse. I will contact every media outlet and offer my story, Isabella's story. I will call, write, tweet, and email the Board of Regents and the New York School Education Commissioner, and I will request meetings with policymakers. I will rally friends and family to do the same. I cannot, no, I will not sit back and wait for someone else to get this done. No one has the right to implement policies that are downright abusive, no matter how lofty their goals. This is to say nothing of the rampant profiteering that is taking place in this school reform movement, nothing of its agenda to simply break the backs of teachers' unions. This gets down to just what is just horrible education policies that are being foisted upon children and teachers to fit some type of political ideology that is born out of a corporate mentality that has no place getting between a teacher and their students. And, you know, this is an incredibly difficult fight because it's very hard to push back against an agenda that is at its very nature designed to succeed in the marketplace. When you're talking about the corporate reform movement of schools, you are talking about it being staffed and funded by people whose primary professional life has been developing things to be sold on the side of a package or a billboard or in a 30-second ad. And they are attacking people whose entire professional training and motivation and experience is designed to be fundamentally far more nuanced and not to reach a mass group of people, but to function on a level of individual students. And so it becomes very hard for them to push back, frankly, because there is no one-size-fits-all answer for this. The only thing we know in terms of a glib response is that if you look at the median income of people living in a district, and not just the ones who are willing to go down and put their names in a lottery and be self-selected because they have the opportunity or the will, or they've been able to manage, or they have enough breaks, or they have enough family to take care of the kid so that they can get involved in their schools. If you look at the median income In any given school district, it is almost with virtual certainty that you can predict the quality of the school. That's the only thing that you can say that is in any way glib or able to be digested in the small amount of time that people have to make this argument. And so this is going to be, this is an ongoing fight, and I don't know where it ends, frankly, because as soon as you start to allow the profiteering that takes place in this corporate school reform movement, then you just have that much more of an incentive structure that makes it harder to stem this tide.